So this is how the architecture which we are going to follow in our tutorial. We have WhatsApp server on the left, then we have Sandbox environment. So because we don't have WhatsApp business account, so we have to rely on a Sandbox environment. In our case, it will be Twilio, which provides Sandbox environment for free, at least for limited and limited usage and integration. Then we have Chatbot engine, which will be a Python based application connected to Dialogflow. So Dialogflow is a free framework by Google which does NLP. So Dialogflow is going to be our main NLP engine. This will do natural language processing and detect intents from the user's conversation and respond with proper response. So now how whole thing works is, a Sandbox environment has a phone number which is registered with WhatsApp. So when we onboard ourselves to that Sandbox, our number and the REST API of the chatbot get registered on their portal. Now when any request comes from our mobile number to the Sandbox environment chatbot number, it will simply forwards that request to a chatbot engine, and chatbot engine will see from which user this request has come and what is the message, and it will send that message to Dialogflow, which will process the request and sends back the response as per the configuration. So we will be configuring the Dialogflow also in this tutorial. So now WhatsApp APIs work in a asynchronous way. So for sending response back to the user, we have to invoke another API. So we will invoke the API to send the response, and the message will be received by the user. So I hope all this is clear to you. So let's move forward. So next is how to do the communication with WhatsApp API. So there are two ways to do that. One is two-way communication and one is one-way communication. So if a WhatsApp user has sent your application a message, whether it is a reply to one of your outbound messages or they have initiated the communication themselves, your application has a 24-hour window to send that user messages that don't use a template. So what is a template, we will see in the next slide. But for at least for next 24 hours following the last message sent to your application by the WhatsApp user, your application can reply or send outbound message to that user without using a template. So when your application sends a message to a user outside a 24-hour session, the message must use a approved template. So when a user sends you a message, that triggers a session of 24 hours in which you can send as many messages as you want to the user. Now when you are communicating with the user upfront, your WhatsApp message templates must fall into one of the following categories. So templates that do not align clearly with these templates are more likely to be rejected by the WhatsApp in the template approval process. So what is a template approval process? So if your business is for booking airline tickets, so you will have a different template. So you have to get those templates approved by the WhatsApp. So you are sending a OTP or any kind of message to the user upfront without the user starting the conversation. You have to get that template approved. So these are the various categories: account update, alert update, appointment update, if you want to do a auto reply, or a issue resolution update you want to send, or a payment update. All these are the template categories in which you can build your template. So how a template look is, I have that on this slide. So welcome one, we look forward to serving you on WhatsApp. So what this one is, that will be replaced by one of the user name or something. So next is your order dash or one for the total of 2 is confirmed, your expected delivery is 3. So what this is doing is, so for example, you are in a food delivery business or in an e-commerce business, so you can use this template for sending a message upfront to the user. And we have another template: hi, thanks for placing your order with us. So this is an order confirmation template. So you have to fall into these categories and you have to get your templates approved before you start communicating with the user upfront. So the first part of this demo will be configuring the Sandbox environment. So we are using Twilio.com Sandbox environment for our demo. You can use any other Sandbox environment if you get some. So what you will do, you will go to dashboard of this and you will go to programmable SMS and you will click on WhatsApp. Now this will give you some mobile number and a code. So if you send this code to this mobile number, your mobile number will get registered on the Sandbox environment. So you can do this. I have already done this whole thing, so I'll skip this process. You have to configure your Dialogflow. So I have just logged into my Dialogflow account and I am going to the console. So it will be our NLP engine. So I will just create a new agent here. Agent name can be YouTube WhatsApp bot. I will create a new Google project for this. I will click on create. So once this is created, we will be configuring our intents in this. So we will assume that we are providing user services for checking the order summary for any of the account for any of the order. So I'll click on create intent. I will add some training phrases here. What is my order summary? Where is my order? And I can write intent name as order summary. What response this chatbot should give is your order is under processing. We will keep you updated on the same. So this is what should be the response given by the chatbot. So I'll click on save. Okay, so this is done. Now let's go and create a service account for this. So service account will be a Google Cloud service account that we are going to use for integrating this Dialogflow through REST APIs. Python. I will click on this again. So the service account is ready. So now what we will do, we will download the key from the Google Cloud account. That key will be used for integrating our Python code with this Dialogflow. So just go to your service accounts. I think this one will be ours. Add key, create a new key and download it. So this JSON you have to keep it in your Python project that we will just be developing. So this is our basic Python Flask project. We have just defined one hello world method and one get message API. The first step would be to include the JSON that we just downloaded. This is a private key, so I will rename it for better reference. Okay, so this is ready. Now we will create a new virtual environment for our project. So this will create a new virtual environment. VENV will be our environment name, and after this we will activate this environment and we will install all the dependencies which are required for running this project. So this is done. Let's activate it. So this is activated. Now let's install some dependencies. So first one would be Flask for creating the REST APIs. This is done. Next one would be Dialogflow for the Dialogflow integration. So this is also available in pip. So this is also done. So next would be we will be using Flask with Zappa library for deploying the code in AWS. So now we will install pip3 install Zappa. So using Zappa we will be deploying our code to AWS environment. We will see how we can do that. So once this is done, we have to create a requirements.txt file for this environment. So that will automatically get installed once this is deployed on Lambda, AWS Lambda. So for that we will use pip command only, and that would be pip3 freeze requirements.txt. So once this is done, we will run that command. So this is done. Pip freeze requirements.txt. So our requirements file is also ready. This has all the dependencies which are required for running this project. So now let's try running this project and see if basic Flask project is working. This has come up, and hello world. So this is working. So now let's start working on our get message API, which we will be exposing to the Twilio. So how we can do that? First we will set up some basic imports and common parameters for the Dialogflow. So we will go through all these, and I'll be pushing this code to GitHub also and share the link in the description, so you can also take it from there. So OS we have imported just for setting the environment variable. So Google says that if you want to integrate Google Cloud APIs, you have to put this in your project and set this as an environment variable. So I have done that. After this, we have Dialogflow and some dependencies libraries for that, and then request for calling the Twilio API. So this is the Dialogflow project ID from where you can get it. You can open your Dialogflow project, click on settings, and here you will find your project ID. So you can copy it and paste it for this global variable, and then your language code would be English because we have set up Dialogflow for English language. Now the session ID, ideally this should be a unique ID for different users, but for our case I'll be only one who is using this WhatsApp API, so I have hard coded it to me. You can create a new session ID for every user that comes to your application and store it in session or some database. Now we have get message API. This is the main API for integrating Dialogflow. So I have already written code for that, and I'll just copy paste it. So here goes my code. Now we will go through the code and see what is happening here. So we will get two basic things from Twilio. One is the message, what message the user has sent, and what is the user, who is the user. So we will get the mobile number from where we have got that message. So these two things we will be getting, and then we will be creating a Dialogflow session. We will be configuring that session, and then we will be making some query inputs and text input object for sending it to the detect intent method. So what this detect intent method does, it is part of Dialogflow library that we just installed using pip commands. So it takes your session and query input. So in query input we already have our message. So we are going to do NLP here. So Dialogflow will parse the text and see what intent matches that text the most, and that will give us 4 parameters from that library. So first one would be the query text that we just sent. Next would be the intent. So intent is for our case, if we see what intents we have configured, we have order summary and default welcome intent. The order summary, if the text looks like this is related to order summary, then it will come as order summary here. And then we have confidence, how much confidence Dialogflow has that the text which it has got is mapped to this intent only. And then we have fulfillment text. Fulfillment text is the response that we are getting in the intent. So we have already defined some responses here, hard-coded responses here. So that becomes the fulfillment text. So this fulfillment text is something that we will be sending back to the user. So just imagine a chatbot scenario where the user sends you something and you have to reply something to the user. So Dialogflow is going to help us in that, and we are going to call Twilio API in this using the fulfillment text. But before we do it, we will first test if our API is working fine or not. So so we have written a return command here, and we are going to run this project, and we will see if Dialogflow integration is working fine or not. So I will save this file. Let's run it. Okay, this is started. So let's open our Postman. So the URL would be localhost 5000, and the path would be this. I will just paste it here. It is a post request. In the body we will write from and message. So message would be hello. We can write any number here. Click on send. Okay, I think I added one extra backslash here. So let's test it. we should be getting input text not set. I think we missed something. Oh, it is body. So it is not message, it is body. Greetings, how can I assist? This message we are getting from the Dialogflow. So this means Dialogflow integration is working fine. So now what we have to do, we will integrate the Twilio code here, which will be sending our response back to the user. I already have code for that written as well. I will explain you this code also. So now what we have done is I got this URL from Twilio documentation. So how you can form this URL is, this is your app ID. So I will tell you where you can get this app ID. So you can go to your Sandbox environment and then you can go to settings. In the settings you get this account SID. So this becomes your URL, and this is your URL. Then in the payload, this will be the default from WhatsApp number that Twilio has. So when you integrate actual WhatsApp business API, then you have to change it. Otherwise, if you are just doing it for development in Twilio Sandbox environment, then this is fine. Message will be the message that we got from the Dialogflow, and 2 will be the mobile number where we have to send the message. And then comes the header. So in the authorization, this is the basic authorization where we have access key and access access ID and access key from where you can get it. So this is the account SID and this is the auth token. So to get it, what you can do is you can go to the authorization in Postman. You can paste this API URL here, and when you enter your username and password, which is your account SID and auth token, in the headers you will, in the headers of code, you have to click on code here, go to Python request. In the header you will get all this. I hope these are basic authorization techniques which you must be already knowing. So I have copied this from here. So this is just a base64 string where we have account SID colon the access key, the auth token. So this will create our send message API. Send message method is also ready. So now what we have to do, we will deploy this into AWS environment. So how to do that? I am using Zappa for it. Now this deployment part you can do, you can use any other cloud services, or if you want to deploy it in your local servers. But just make sure wherever you deploy this API, that should be accessible on open internet. Okay, so let's do it using Zappa. So Zappa works when your AWS credentials are already set up on your system and everything is ready, then only this will work. So I've already done all the AWS setup, and for me this will work as it is. So this is asking me for a stage name. I will say dev. Now this is asking me for the bucket, S3 bucket. I will keep it default. What is your app function? So app function is your file ID dot your this Flask app name. So this is also default. Do you want to deploy it globally? Default is N. I am okay with that. So this is the file that Zappa has created. So this becomes our settings file. Now let's go ahead and deploy our dev environment. So now this will take some time to deploy. By the time this is getting deployed, I will explain how this whole thing works. So now what Zappa is doing, it is creating a zip file out of my whole virtual environment. It is installing all the dependencies, and then it is creating one JSON file which will be a CloudFormation JSON file, and it will create a stack of it. So that stack and the zip file which Zappa has created will be deployed. So the zip file will go to S3 bucket and the stack will go to CloudFormation AWS service. And then when we run that stack, so Zappa will automatically do that. So this is the stack JSON file which we were just discussing. It has created all the roles for me, and all the setup is done by the same stack. So this stack will run on CloudFormation. All the things will automatically be deployed, and I will be getting this URL from the API gateway. So Zapa has taken care of deploying the API gateway also. So I have got this URL. So now what I have to do, I will copy it from here, and I will go to Twilio, and I will just go to my WhatsApp Sandbox environment, and I will add this URL to my sandbox. So when a message comes in, what we have to do, you call this API. So we are configuring Twilio here. So this is the URL. At the end we have API and get message. This is HTTP post. Let's save it. Let's save it once again. Sometimes it creates issue. Get message. Let's save it once again, and this is done. So now let's see, and let's go to our WhatsApp, and let's see if we are able to access the Twilio and WhatsApp business API. So this is going to be the final part of our tutorial. We are just testing if the sandbox is working fine with all the things that we have done. So I have saved this Twilio number on my WhatsApp on my mobile. So this is the Twilio sandbox number. I have saved it on my number on my phone, and I am going to send a simple WhatsApp message. So now what will it do? It will forward that request to the sandbox environment and then to our Python project. And then Dialogflow is replying, good day, what can I do for you today? So this is automated response. So let's try with the intent that we have set up. So we were checking the order status. So I will say, what is my order status? What is my order status? So it should reply the default reply that we set up. Our order is under processing. We will keep you updated on the same. So this means our whole architecture is working fine now, and WhatsApp APIs are working. Our sandbox environment is also working. So this is all for today's session. So what we have seen is how to set up the sandbox environment for Twilio and WhatsApp business APIs. We have created a new Python Flask project for integrating Twilio and for integrating Dialogflow framework as well. So now we have a chatbot ready on which is working on our WhatsApp and using Twilio sandbox environment. So thank you for watching this video. Just keep posting your comments if you want anything else to be covered as a part of WhatsApp business APIs. I'll try to cover those aspects as well. Thank you for watching, and do subscribe. Thank you.